The countdown began the moment she opened his phone. 12 unread messages, all from their daughter, all marked with the kind of emojis no child should ever send to a parent. And before she could scream, before she could even breathe, he appeared behind her and whispered, "You weren't supposed to see that." For a second, the kitchen froze. The hum of the refrigerator, the blinking stove clock, her trembling hands gripping his phone. 12 messages, 12 warnings, 12 seconds before everything in their home, every illusion, every smile, every photograph on the wall, began to rot from the inside out. Evelyn Lawson had always thought the silence in her marriage was just exhaustion. 2 jobs, bills, school schedules, the kind of routine that can wear a couple into strangers. She never imagined the silence was actually fear in disguise, fear felt most intensely by the one person she believed was safest in their home. Her daughter, Lily. Michael Lawson was a man who knew how to perform goodness, a youth mentor, a respected church volunteer, a man who hugged too long, but smiled just right. People said he radiated purity, but behind closed doors, he radiated something else. Control masked as tenderness, patience hiding obsession, attention disguised as affection. The first message Evelyn clicked on shattered her. "It'll be our secret. Just smile for me like you did last night." The second was worse. The third made her drop the phone. Micah reached for her, but she backed away, hands shaking so violently she nearly dropped the floor. "Please tell me this isn't what I think it is," she whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of both fury and disbelief. Micah didn't deny it. He only said, "You don't understand." And that was the moment Evelyn realized he was not horrified at being exposed. He was horrified at losing access. She ran, straight up the stairs, straight to Lily's room. But Lily wasn't inside. The bed was made. The window cracked open for fresh air, a pair of school shoes placed neatly by the dresser. Just normal enough to look staged. Just quiet enough to feel wrong. Micah followed slowly. Too slowly, like a man calculating outcomes. "Where is she?" Evelyn demanded, grabbing him by the shirt with a strength she didn't know she had. "What did you do?" He breathed out her name almost gently. "Evie, you're ruining everything." Those words stuck to her skin like oil, because they didn't belong to a panicked father. They belonged to a man cornered, a man whose secret world had collapsed in seconds. She ran past him, out of the room, down the stairs, reaching for front door. She never made it. The neighbors across the street would later say they heard a scream cut off mid-breath, a heavy thud, then a chilling silence that didn't match the calm suburban street. Some thought it was a TV. Others thought it was a child. No one acted, not until it was far too late. By the time police arrived the next morning, called by a co-worker when Evelyn didn't show up for his shift, they found Micah sitting on the living room floor, hands around a cold cup of coffee, his eyes blank. He didn't resist. He didn't ask for a lawyer. He didn't ask for Lily. Instead, he simply murmured, "She shouldn't have looked." Evelyn's body lay behind the kitchen island, her head resting against a pool of blood so dark it had turned brown. The medical examiner later determined she had been struck once with a blunt object, likely during a struggle, and died within minutes. It wasn't rage. It wasn't passion. It was panic, the instinctive violence of a man whose fantasy life had been ripped open. But the most disturbing part wasn't Evelyn's murder. It was the fact that Lily was missing. The search for her became national news within hours. Amber alerts, emergency broadcasts, roadblocks, interstate bulletins. Dozens of volunteers combed parks, rivers, abandoned properties. Lily's face, Brace's gentle eyes, shy smile, spread across social media like wildfire. Micah remained silent. For 2 full days, he said nothing, not to police, not to investigators, not to the FBI child abduction specialist brought in on day 3. It wasn't until interrogators showed him reconstructed screenshots of messages, recovered from Evelyn's phone and cloud backups, that a flicker of emotion appeared in his eyes. Not remorse. Possessiveness. "She needed me," he whispered. "I kept her safe. I kept her close." Evelyn didn't understand our connection. The detectives froze, the room suddenly colder. When they asked again where Lily was, Micah calmly stated, "She's somewhere no one will hurt her again." That answer triggered a full-scale operation. 5 agencies, dogs, helicopters, water searches. Digital forensics pulled location data from every device, every router, every deleted account. They tracked his movement from the previous week. Stores, back roads, old properties he once worked on, a storage unit he hadn't paid for in months. Nothing until day 6. A team scanning a forested area near a closed gravel pit spotted a piece of purple fabric tangled in brush. Then the bracelets Lily always wore. Then a shoe. Then, finally, covered by branches and carefully placed leaves, they found her, alive, barely conscious, dehydrated, shaking violently, but alive. She had been hidden in a small weather-insulated survival shelter, a place Micah had apparently constructed months earlier, a place he intended to keep her indefinitely if the situation ever required it. Lily told investigators everything. The grooming, the messages, the secret bond he convinced her they shared, the way he told her he was guiding her, protecting her, loving her the way only he truly could. And then, through tears and trembling breaths, she told him what happened the night Evelyn died. Dad told me we had to leave because Mom wanted to break us apart. When asked about the woods, she said it brought her there, told her to wait until he came back, and locked the sheltered door from the outside. He said we'd start over somewhere new. Just us. The courtroom was silent when those words were read aloud during Micah's trial. The judge looked haunted. The jurors sickened. The gallery trembling with anger. The prosecution didn't need theatrics. The evidence spoke with its own cruelty. Micah had built a fantasy world where he and his daughter existed alone, unchallenged by morality or boundaries. When Evelyn discovered that world, he erased her. When Lily threatened exposure simply by being found, he hid her. The defense tried to argue diminished capacity, stress, dissociation, mental collapse. But the calculated shelters, the messages, the timeline, they all suggested something far worse. Obsession sharpened into intention. It took the jury less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. First-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual exploitation of a minor, child endangerment, evidence tampering, life imprisonment without parole. Yet the story didn't end with the sentencing. 2 weeks after he was transferred to a high-security facility, authorities intercepted a letter he attempted to send from prison. It wasn't addressed to lawyers, family, or clergy. It was for Lily. The content was brief, handwritten in tiny, cramped letters. They can lock me away, but they can't break what we have. One day you'll understand why I did everything I did. One day you'll remember who you truly belong to. Investigators sealed it as evidence. Lily's therapists were informed. Security protocols tightened. The letter never reached her, never will, but the fact he wrote it at all revealed something chilling. Michael was remorseful, not shattered, not broken. He was waiting. And that left everyone, police, prosecutors, therapists, even the judge, with a final unnerving question. If Evelyn hadn't opened his phone that night, how many more days would Micah have spent preparing a life where Lily was never meant to escape at all?